Invest in yourself. I mean, it's kind of the theme that I have every single year is invest in yourself. I think that people spend far too much time on free and trying to figure this or figure that. If you find somebody that's got 20 years experience and you can get their 20 years experience in 10 or 20 hours for $1,000, I would say that you're dumb if you don't make that investment in yourself, because that's the fast way to do it.
Alrighty, folks, it is the start of 2025. The inauguration of a new president is in. The real estate market, as I am seeing it, is going to be rough if you are paid on transactions. I actually think it will be the worst year yet. But if you are a real estate investor, you should be smiling, because it is never going to be easier to find a motivated seller. But some of you have the wrong mindset. Some of you are already giving up, which is not something I will tolerate. So I thought we should have a conversation with the three amigos about what you should be doing different in 2025 to make sure you are maximizing your opportunity and running a good business if you already happen to have rentals. Dion, you were on first, and I always go in the order that people showed up. So take it away. What are your thoughts on this idea of what people should be doing different in 2025?
The funny thing is we're coming up on, I want to say, at least a decade of Crash Bros saying, it started when prices went above where they were in 2008. The bubble is here. This is the problem. There's always a good reason to sit on the sidelines and wait. And I can read that comment from my video this morning if you like. This is
go for it.
This is the sentiment that I see more and more. I think Matt was talking about it. He sees this more and more, maybe in a different version of it. And this is just, I believe this is somebody who is not an investor. I don't know. It's not a name that I recognize. But they say, due to the increase of criminal property taxes, homeowner insurances, and HOA fees, real estate is looking less and less attractive as an investment unless you have like $1 million. That was my response too. I was like, well, first of all, the last thing I'd want to do is save up $1 million before I got invested in anything. Like that, That's not a good way to go. A friend of mine just had his daughter purchase their first investment property, and it cost her $500. She got a check for $500 at the closing table because she wrote a $1,000 earnest money check. Gets to the closing table, gets $500 back. So definitely didn't take $1 million to get that process started. It took thousands to have the reserves that they wanted and then work on the credit score and have the consistent work history. I mean, there was a lot of work that went into it, but it didn't take $1 million. So I think in 2025, I think people need to remember that there's two things that tell us when to buy. Neither of those two things is interest rates, prices, recession, change in leadership. It's those two things are consistent. What tells us when to buy? And I'll use myself as an example. The two things that tell us when to buy is, one, are you ready? And that means you're financially ready and you're emotionally ready. You don't have anything major going on in your life, like a birth, death, divorce, something that's going to take your attention away to where you couldn't focus on getting a great deal. Well, you should pay attention to that life thing instead of investing for right now, because you're not ready. And the second thing is, did you find a great deal? Yeah. So I know personally, I'm not ready. I don't want to buy right now. I want to buy at the end of 2025 after the current place I'm in hits the 2-year mark for the IRS 121 rule. Like, I've staged this around to when I'll be ready. So personally, I'm not looking at rentals for about 3 months. So 6 months before I buy, I'll be studying the market 30 minutes a day, because I don't want to find a great deal. Somebody sent me what sucks is looking like a great deal yesterday. It's a fourplex. It hits the yield that I want. It's in the market I invest in. It checks off all the little boxes. And I'm like, dang it, I'm probably going to have to buy this stupid fourplex. But I wasn't looking because I didn't want to. And I knew I wasn't ready. So that's what I think people should do in 2025 that I don't think a lot of people did in 2024. So many people were waiting for the election, waiting for the recession, waiting for interest rates to come down. And here we are, sleeping on lumpy mattresses full of cash because we took action, got assets, and benefited from all the things that they're waiting for.
Yeah, it's still amazing that the Crash Bros out there have they have a loyal following. I just wanted to read you one quote I got in the last 48 hours. This was a video I did with the one and only Beth Traverso talking about what she's seeing in Seattle. And this person comes on, and I'm going to read it just verbatim. No, it won't. The cheerleaders on this channel are epic. You are going to see a minimum of 20% fall crash in prices. FHA is the new subprime. after they all go underwater. Yeah. Yeah. Matt, what do you think?
Come on.
Remember, you're on my channel.
It's
Be
not
nice.
even fair. It's not even fair. I mean, so somebody made an introduction for me last week, and they said, "Hey, listen, I want you to talk to this guy. You struggled last year and a half or so in his real estate investing. I want you to talk to him." And so basically, he starts out with, "Hey, thanks for your time," but then within 2 or 3 comments, he is, basically convince me why I should take your course. I'm not in the convincing business. And so I said, what literally my only answer back was, not in the convincing business, not here to convince you. Here's just one point of fact. In the last 18 months, you found a way to lose $100,000 on property investing. I never have. You tell me if you should take my course or not. People need to be making an investment in where they want to be at the end of this year. That's not just a time thing. That's not just a mentality thing. It is invest some money. We invest money in all sorts of different things. I buy things that support my properties. I get better employees. I'm always investing, and it's not always in just the property. It's in all the things that support my being able to get more properties or do a better job with my properties that are going to give me a greater return. And so I think one area, and this is where I'm going to try not to, put your splash guard up now. The ick is going to be thick. And so I think that one thing people can do, and this is something that I ventured to do last year, was I started seeing ads everywhere for VAs. I was like, this is stupid. And it was all over the place. And then I was like reaching out to my network saying, I want a personal reference for a VA company, personal reference.
Right.
So I get this personal reference. I got a few of them, but I got this one, and this one just kind of jumped off the page. I'm asking her every question in the book, trying to break her, and she's not breaking. And I was like, she's dialed in. She's legit. Then I talked to her VAs. They're dialed in. They're legit. Like, they're not just these, $5 an hour, muddling through speaking broken English. Like, they legit can speak English fluently. They understand context. Like, they're very strong. So we finish with, I'm going to make an investment, and I'm going to start, because I had 1031 exchanges coming due. So I knew that I needed some inventory that I needed to create, because MLS isn't good enough for me. I'm a snob. I'm an MLS snob. It's not good enough. I need more. I need more volume. I need more coming in the door. So I'm like, I got to create my own market. So I talked to her. We go through everything. We set everything up, and it's a whopping $540 a month for 10 hours a week of cold calling and the data, cold calling on my criteria in my 4 or 5 areas. It's $540 a month. My course is $2,000. Why are people not going, if I need to up my game, I need to make an investment in myself? Because I promise you, you are wasting time by not understanding how to create a lot more deals. You are wasting time. So that's where I think that people need to make an investment in themselves and say, I'm really serious about this. I'm not going to be on the free train forever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to only play the first 3 levels of the game because that's all I can play for free. I need to up my game.
There you go. Well, Dan, I'm going to read you one more thing and let you riff on this. This is another quote. This one's about 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago. Trust me, dude. In 6 months, nobody is going to buy anything, especially homes. Home ownership will be abandoned for years to come. Optimism will be flushed down the toilet. People actually believe this stuff.
Zuber, you should narrate books. Yes. That voice, just instant switch in character. That was great. I love it.
But to your guys' point, I mean, if let me just be very clear. If you have an attitude like that, I don't want you anywhere around me. I don't want you in my universe. I don't want you in my state. If you're going to come with that kind of negativity, just keep enjoying being broke. I mean, you're not even open to the idea.
You don't need to worry. He doesn't own anything.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing he owns is a stack of payments. Yeah. Don't worry about it. He won't be anywhere near you.
All right, let's stop crapping on stupid people's comments. What should people do differently? One, invest in themselves. You're absolutely right. All three of us are going to be at an event in about 3 weeks. I think we have 40. Actually, I know we have 40 tickets left as of this recording. Deanne, why do people got to get themselves to Vegas and be in that room with 300 people going in the same direction?
So I think you need to know yourself, right? Like I know when I'm going to be ready to buy, when I don't want to buy, and whether I wanted a big portfolio or the right amount of cash flow from the least amount of units. And I think a lot of people think of themselves as introverts, which I am. I would absolutely rather read a book than go to a party. I would absolutely go for a hike in the mountains by myself than go. It's been, if you take out Lowe's and Home Depot, probably 15 years since I've been inside a store. Like I'm not a people person. I think Amazon is amazing. So I would say introvert. And then there's people who would say they're an extrovert, right? I believe based on Matt's character, I would call him an extrovert because of all the people he deals with all the time.
Absolutely.
I think most people are wrong. I think I'm wrong about Matt, probably, that he's an extrovert, because it's just his personality we see. People that see me and they see me at events or they watch me on YouTube, they would think, oh, he's definitely an extrovert. He's trying to be the center of attention. He's not trying to be the one talking. I'm like, no, I'm trying to keep everybody in front of me so I don't have to worry about what's going on behind me. But I think most people are ambiverts.
What is that? You're making shit up now. What is that word?
Okay.
What is that?
Google it later. So it's actually, I don't think it's from psychology. It was from my Soch class, but an introvert thrives when they're alone.
Okay.
An extrovert thrives when they're with people. So we get the concept of the basic breakdown to the core elements of what they are. An ambivert thrives when they're with the right people.
Yeah, makes
So
sense.
the idea is you take someone
really
like me.
thing?
That is a thing. Yes.
Okay.
You take someone like me. I can't stand. I don't know if I made it up or not. I'm not a people person. I just can't. It's not my thing, right? But then you take somebody like Frank, old guy REI. He flies up here to Washington to help. He tiled a bathroom together to teach me a skill. It was a highlight week of being around people of the year of when he came up, because I thrive around the right people. So if you're investing, if you're trying to grow a portfolio and you're around your friends and family and you're a little bit introverted, even if you're extroverted and you're sharing what you're doing, they're going to tear you down. They're going to lobster claw you back into the bucket, if that's the right analogy. And it's going to be a struggle. But if you get around the people doing the same thing, speaking the same language, that are excited when you close on a property, or when you just make an offer, or when you, hey, what do you think of this deal? You if you are introvert or extrovert, you can thrive when you're around the right people.
Yeah, I seriously, I'd never heard that word before. So I'm going to go check that out. There's so much there that I love. Obviously, this event in real life will be the second, celebration we've had. I also think when you go through that, the school community that we're all a part of is crazy good as well, because that's what I'm trying to foster. I'm trying to foster an environment where there's now 367 people go in the same direction. We all celebrate each other. We all ask questions. We also share the hard days. That's, one of the ORaaT rules is bad shit happens, learn from it, move on, right? Don't sit and wallow. So when I think about, being better in 2025, it hasn't changed, folks. You got to get around the right group. It is a superpower to be around the right people. And again, most of you haven't spent a decade. I've spent 2 decades curating being around the right people. My entire channel, One Rental at a Time, is about being around the right people. Most of you can't do that. You have the wrong friends. You're being lobster clawed back into the bucket. You try to escape. They pull you back down. Get to the event. In real life, you're going to be able to ask questions. It's an event like no other, no back of the room credit card nonsense. I hate that stuff. It's more of a celebration and a party of the community than a sales event. Yes, this year I will have some books. You all bagged on me for not having books last year. There will be books this year, but we're not selling courses. We're not selling, mentorships, nothing like that. It's a celebration of the community. And that is everybody in the room, not only the people on stage. So yeah, get to the event, join school. It's going to be what I'm known for in a couple of years. No doubt is the best place for real estate investors, I believe. Matt.
Yeah, it's a great time. I mean, we're, there's a bunch of people that will listen to, and the funny thing was I was just like, had to tell people, I really do want to have a conversation with you, but I really wanted to see the speaker. So that was, I mean,
I'm here to learn too.
Yeah, exactly. And not like I couldn't afford to skip a few meals, but I mean, I was like shoving food in my face for like 3.5 minutes and then answering questions at the table, which is like the whole purpose of the VIP event. Right.
Exactly.
And so that was great. But yeah, I mean, I just think at the end of the day, it's all these people with no skin in the game that have all these outrageous opinions. And so it's cool, man. Like, keep on driving your 3 Series Beamer and thinking you're awesome. The only thing I think is that you vastly overpaid for a canteen of a car. So at the end of the day, we all have to be, Dion, take a drink. We all have to be accountable, for what we're doing to forward and progress through our path. That's what we all are responsible for. So what are you doing to forward and progress your path? If somebody after 23 years like me does something that I've never done before to try and grow the business, or at least make the business even better, I'm smart enough to know if I have multiple properties I'm selling that I'm going to 1031, I better have something to roll into. And I can't have my fingers crossed really tight that there's going to be something worth investing in on the MLS. I need to make sure that I'm creating a market that I can roll into. And the cool thing is just after 3 months, I had 80 leads of people that I had conversations with. And that's going to turn into, 20, 30, 40 of those people are never going to do anything because they're just tire tickers. But there's 30 or 40 others that are, later on in life, know that they're going to be transitioned out of the area. All of these things were just a once a month touch base or every 60-day touch base. I am going to get deals from that. And I just don't know that there's a better way. I just don't know that there's a better way.
No. And what you're doing, it's pretty awesome. And I mean, Jason Pritchard has been doing it for years. He just had the best year ever. I mean, it's crazy. He's going to be at the event. We're going to do a Q&A session late day 2, surprise guest. Had to get him in there. It's what Adrian, Omar, all these guys are doing is they're going out and not relying only on the MLS. I have a link to some discounts with PropStream. I guess I could put in the show notes. PropStream is the data source that a lot of people use to go get their list, do lead stacking, even do some mailing off that. Sometimes you just got to invest ahead. And I think it is amazing that you're like, hey, I have a problem in the near future. I'm going to invest $600 in fixing it in a brand new way. You haven't had VAs before.
Never.
Right? You probably thought it was, somewhere between a scam and a waste of money until you did the work, right? You're like, oh shit, there are actually people there that speak decent English. They know the vocabulary. They can, use these dialers.
Yep.
And that's just how you get better, right? You don't react to tomorrow. Tomorrow you see the future and you're putting stuff in place and, you're making that investment. The other thing I want to highlight when we think about 2025, actually, I had a conversation with the CEO of Steadily yesterday. It actually went live yesterday. And he said 2 things that I think is important. And I actually said this on the Daily Financial News, but I think it bears repeating. If you own rental properties in Florida or California, which I own some in California, he suggests not reaching out and getting any requotes or bids, because right now what is going on in those 2 states is an upheaval in the insurance community, and companies are looking for reasons to non-renew or cancel. And
Totally
he
agree.
says that reaching out can cause that to happen.
Absolutely. Yep.
So don't do that. Second, if you are in any of the other 48 states, this was shocking to me. Any of the other 48 states, insurance is actually deflating, meaning going down. It is cheaper. He is seeing cheaper insurance quotes in 25 than he did in 24. So if you weren't happy with your quote in 24, go to this link on the screen, ORaaT.steadilypartner.com, and give them a shot. History says 50% of you will get better insurance at better rates, and the other 50, you'll find out that you have pretty good coverage already. But I was shocked that this guy was saying, yeah, rates are cheaper in 25 than 24. So again, if you want to be better, you want to save, I don't know, $100 a year or $10 a month. It's a 4 or 5 minute exercise. Go figure out if it helps.
Yeah, two things about the insurance thing. If you're in those states, some people think, okay, I was with State Farm, now I'm calling Allstate, and I'm going to get a quote. It's the same underwriters. So it's not like you're talking to different entities that wouldn't know. They're going to reach out to the Stillwaters and the other underwriters out there, and that company is going to go, oh, this person has a policy with us, and they're getting a quote from somebody else. So that's how they find out that the other thing. And the second thing is, I hadn't put it together because it's a really small control group. It's not a big enough sample to go, okay, this is what's going on with insurance. But the cheaper insurance quotes for me was last year I had some policies increase, some policies cancel, so you get a new one that's 1,300,
way higher,
so it's 210% more. But this year, because I do this almost every year, I call around for different quotes. I'm in Washington, so I'm not one of the ones where I'm worried about getting canceled. I figure they're going to do it anyway on some of them. But I'm getting the same quote, basically almost exactly the same amount of dollars. But because I watch your content, I'm making sure, okay, what is replacement value? I'm getting more coverage, same price, which is deflationary as far as price goes.
Yeah.
It's not like the price had to come down for me to save money. It's I got better coverage for almost exactly the same price.
Yeah, folks, again, if you're in the other 48 states, give them a shot. Again, 50% of you are getting better coverage at better prices. That's a pretty damn good ratio. The other 50%, congratulations. You got great coverage at a great price already. As far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win relationship. Matt, I think you have such a large portfolio. You just go right to commercial lines, right?
No, we still do each individually, but so then it rolls up into an umbrella. So what we always try and do is diversify our risk. And that was that, to Dion's point, we recognize that there's a big pool of underwriters out there. We like to be in the subsets of those pools where they don't necessarily pool together. So we know what other stuff they're underwriting. That way we're not, held hostage because they also insure and underwrite for California and for Florida and some of these, or even like North Carolina, in all honesty, with all of, how hard they were hit this year. I don't want anything to do with people that are kind of in those alleys. So you're selecting
insurance companies or insurance companies who don't have exposure to some of the high risk states.
Correct.
That's an interesting.
It's worked really well. I mean, our insurance this year, where everyone was crying about their insurance going up, and I get it, when it goes up 14, 18, 25%,
30%.
Yeah. So mine across the board. And then we had some new properties as well that were in there. I think we were up maybe like 9.3%.
Oh, that's not bad.
It wasn't bad at all. And again, the bigger thing is we were up 9.3% in cost, but we were up probably 30% in coverage.
Yeah, that's a good trade.
The ratio. Yeah. So we were still negative 20. Nice. So that was good for us. But yeah, we want to look at where else they have exposure. It's not that big of an activity to then find those companies. Mm-hmm. And then when you do, you just then diversify and you make sure you have 2 or 3 of those providers. So we have some which are State Farm, but they're single family. And so the stuff that was single family with State Farm, really inexpensive. But then we have 2 other kind of more specialized carriers. And when I say specialized, it's only because they're not national, they're regional. Right. And so because they're regional, we know what business they're underwriting. We know where they're looking to for their guidance. And so we know that it's going to be something that the pool that they're considering is not prone to natural disaster.
I like it. Well, let's close up this conversation again, thinking 2025. I think, Dion, you have led the way with the binder strategy. I'm going to assume that the binder strategy is still the way to go. I do think we don't have, 10, 15, 20% rent jumps. But yeah, if you have vacancies coming up, the binder strategy is the way to go. The other thing we should acknowledge is if you're not getting a qualified tenant within like 30 days, lower the rent, right? Mm-hmm. Some places I'm seeing folks get stuck on a higher amount because they got it last year. This is not last year, right?
Nope.
That must be market specific. My market up. I did a rent study. I had a tenant move out in December, left a trash place. I did a video. It was actually very entertaining to me, at least. I thought it was funny. Same exact unit, same place, same rent study. I've been doing it for 2 weeks now. Last year, that place, the unit rented out for $1,950. Area average rent, soft area average rent, which means I can get more, is $2,200 this year. So it's a 10% increase. So I'm probably going to rent $2,125. Pull in the better tenant that does the research to try to get the better rent. So make sure you know your market. My closing thoughts for 2025 is it's going to happen anyway.
Yes.
right? You might as well be investing. It will be 2026, and you can look back and go, I hid with my head in the sand because everybody said all the FUD was coming. If fear, uncertainty, and doubt was just going to make everything bad. Or I studied my market. I looked for great deals. I bought one if I found one, and if you didn't find one, you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Love that. Matt, closing thoughts on 2025?
Invest in yourself. I mean, it's kind of the theme that I have every single year is invest in yourself. I think that people spend far too much time on free and trying to figure this or figure that. If you find somebody that's got 20 years experience and you can get their 20 years experience in 10 or 20 hours for $1,000, I would say that you're dumb if you don't make that investment in yourself, because that's the fast way to do it. And everybody that wants a mentor, you can't afford them. They're 30,000, 50,000, and they probably haven't done what you've done. To really be mentored like that, it's just not a thing, because they won't know your market. They won't know the ins and outs of your market. There's all of those pieces. But yeah, to Dion's point, where his is up, that's awesome. I mean, ours is, which we really found, is it's asset based. We found some of our assets are down a little bit. We found a majority of them are flat and some of them are higher. So the good news is when you kind of that might be due to portfolio size, right? Because Mike, you and I are on that 150, 180 mark, and Dion's in that 20 range. That largely is because we have a lot more diversity in what we offer from a housing perspective.
Yep.
And so I think that might be it. But yeah, we're seeing, I mean, generally speaking, it's flat or up. And then we've had one or two instances of it being down, but it might be because it was -6 degrees this morning.
Yeah, it might be.
Might be that.
-6. Don't people don't want to move, and it's
might be that. I'm just like, yeah, you can move this month, and they're like, no, and I was like, I think you might need to move this month.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, folks, one of the things I'm very proud to offer is an option for you to get in a community for 67 pennies. 67 pennies a day. You could join school. 365, 66 folks go in the same direction. There is no better place. Thousands of free education in there. 6 different masterminds that meet each and every week. Find the thing that fits you and go introduce yourself. Have some fun. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.